This is probably gonna be a long video. It will be about package Mozilla Firefox, the EXE installer, but with this time an install script with PowerShell, which is the recommended. So we're going to download a file, do the install script, and then we will later package it for Intune in another video following this one. So let's start from the beginning and download the executable. So I will open a browser and then I will type download Mozilla Firefox here. And we go to this URL here. And it will by default download a small sort of a stub file that you run and download a bigger version. And we actually don't want that one. So if we click on the download here, that's not the version we want. See if it comes down here. This one is less than 1 megabyte. We don't want this one. This is a stub file. So let's go here, download in another language or for another operating system. So here we want Firefox, we want the full version, we don't want the beta or any one of the who have more features but not as tested. We want the full one, a stable one I should say. And we want the 64-bit one, we don't want the MSI. The MSI is just a wrapper around the exe file anyway. And for language, let's take US English. So let's start to download this one. And my connection is not that quick. And yesterday when I did the video for the CMD, it was version 90. Now it's version 91. Probably when you follow this, it's 95 or something. But cool. So while this download, let's create the folder structure for this. And we already created the template in previous videos. So let's use that. So I will open a File Explorer by Windows E. And I go to our root, C, and Intune_Intune, our template. And here we have our template. So I'm gonna right click and copy this one, go up one step and do a Control V and paste it. So here is our template. We're gonna rename this one. So manufacturer for Firefox is Mozilla. The software, well, that's gonna be Firefox. Version was 91. Well, verify if it was 00, I assume so, and it is indeed a 64-bit. So let's go back here and verify. And now the download got hidden. It is 91.0. So perfect. And within our folder, since we have the template, we have the output folder, which is empty. That's where we're going to do the output of the Win32 file, the one we will upload to the Intune console, or Microsoft endpoint, should probably say. And the source is empty now, but here in the source, we will take down the exe file installer. We will create our PowerShell installation script. We will also add some configuration files. Well, it's going to be down here in any minute. I'm going to delete this Firefox stub installer. Don't want that one. Two, 1, 0. And here we go. And I will not open file because that's probably going to run it. I will open the folder. I like to have a clean download folder. So I'm going to cut this one, but you can copy if you want to, as you want, but we need a copy of this one at least. And I'll go back to our source folder, which is under our Mozilla, and I'm going to paste it in here. So this is our installation file that we will use. Now let's create the PowerShell script, and you can use Visual Studio Code, Notepad, or Atom, or maybe PowerShell ISE is a good tool. I'm going to use Notepad++. Create a new one, and let's do some comments first, and that's for our future self or for others. And in PowerShell, you can do that with a ## or #. So let's call the purpose of this. It's to install Mozilla Firefox 91.0.0 64-bit with settings, and we're coming to that. Then we can put another line, a hash code, and put by or actually we can put author, and I put myself here. And then I like to put the date. And today, while recording this video, is the 10th August 2021. And then we can put the first line, set variables. So we're gonna need a few variables, and I wish I know them by heart, but I'm gonna need to cheat a bit. We're gonna need at least one called, and it can be called anything, but script root. That's gonna be where the location of the files is, and that's gonna be dynamic. And this is the part that I don't know by heart, so I'm gonna look here. So we're gonna do split path, and then what is the path? And then $my invocation dot my command dot path. So this gonna split the path, and it's gonna get us where this file run from, because we don't know where it's gonna run from, probably from the Intune cache. But if you copy this to server share or move the files, it's always gonna find back to it, as long as this PowerShell script is in the same folder as the installation and config files, which we're gonna do. So that's the first one. Then we can do another one, install. I'll call this one gbn install file, and that's going to be the name of our file. And let's copy that from the folder, so we have that in the source. I'm going to do a fake rename by doing F2, then I do Control A and Control C, then we have the file name. If we go back here, I'm going to put install file, that's the name. And this one, where it's going to find the install file, it's going to be in the script root. So I'm going to copy that and add back here, and then do a backslash. Then we need some installation requirements. If you only run the Firefox setup 91.0 exe file, it's not going to be a silent installation. It's going to be this ask next, 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 and ask us for some input. And we want it totally silent when we install in Microsoft Intune. So we're going to look what switches can we use in order to make it silent. And I'm first going to do another variable. So I put a $, and I call it gbn arguments. But you can have it as anything. And within this double quotation, we're going to add in the switches. To find out which switches we needed, there is a documentation page. So I'll have that favorited. And I'm going to put this link in the description of this video. So if we look here, what command line options we have when we install, we have /S, which is a silent installation. We definitely want that because we want the installation to be silent. So I'm stealing that right away and pasting that there. Let's see if we have something more we want. To change installation directory path, I like when it's installed under C program files, so let's keep that. Then we have a taskbar shortcut, which only works on Windows 7 and 8. That's way too old for me, and anyway, I like it as it is. Desktop shortcut, that I don't like when it's create, so let's copy that one. And it's written by default, it create one. And it actually created under C user, the public user, under the public user's desktop. So if your users try to delete this shortcut, because it's going to be visible on theirs too, they don't have the permission unless they are local administrator, which normally shouldn't. So let's add that one here, /desktop shortcut equals, and I want that to false. We don't want that. Let's go back to the documentation. Then we have start menu. I like that. We have some maintenance service. Let's keep that. This one I like, prevent reboot required. We definitely don't want the reboot to happen, especially not since we do the /S. It's going to be silent. So if it becomes a reboot, the user won't even know that it's due to Firefox being installed. It will just restart. So let's paste in that, and this time we keep the true value because it's true. We want to prevent the reboot. So here I feel pretty good with this. That's going to be the argument that we pass to the exe installer. So now we start to look pretty good. So here we have a section set variables. Let's set install Firefox, and maybe remove one space there. So then we do start process, and it could be a good idea to actually save this file first so we get some help from the editor. So I'm going to do that. We're not finished, but I'm just going to save it. Control S. And we want to save this file in the source folder. So that's under _Intune, under our folder Mozilla, under the source. So let's call this one, I like to put all types. That's easier, and then delete the file. Let's call this one install-mozilla Firefox, and the version is 91.0.0, and it's a 64-bit x64, and ps1, that's the extension. I think Microsoft had the intention that it would be ps2, ps3 when PowerShell evolved, but they finally kept all files for ps1. So let's save this one, and now we get some formatting by Notepad++ because it recognized that it's PowerShell. In the beginning it said, hey, you're writing a document, but now it knows, oh, it's a PowerShell. So all the green are just comment. That could be anything. It's not going to be used by the script. So let's run start process, and then we can put file path, and the file path gonna be this one here, our argument. So this gonna be the script root, which is gonna be wherever it runs from. If we run it locally here, it would be from up here, C_Intune Mozilla Firefox, and the version number and all /source. That would be translated to the script root. And then we run the executable. And very important that you have the quotation, especially when you have spaces in. So that's the file path. Then we want arguments. And the arguments we want are these. We could technically just copy and paste that in here, but I prefer to have it in variables. So we'll copy this one, variable here, and that could be it. And then let's wait for this one to finish before it releases it. So wait. So now let's save this one. Now we have an installer in PowerShell to install Firefox. We're going to test if it works, and if it doesn't, we're going to change it. Now we want to configure it also with settings, and we're going to just add 2 settings. We're going to change the home page to not have the default, and we're going to change the search to Google. And I have already prepared 2 files for that, so I'm going to copy in them, but I'm going to explain them, and I'm going to put the content of them in the description of this video. They're very short. It's just a few lines. So the 2 files here on my desktop, mozilla.cfg, who actually have the settings, and also autoconfig.js, which pointing to the Mozilla CFG. We're going to look at that more. So I'm going to copy these 2, and I'm going to put them in our source. And if we open the mozilla.cfg, I'll open it in Notepad++ here. Let's see if we can do it a little bigger. Is it? No, control. There. Bit bigger. So same as with the ## in PowerShell, 2/ are just a comment. So this does nothing, these lines. It's only line 4 and 7 who actually do something. So we have 2 settings. The first on line 4, it's a default pref. That means the user can actually change this value after. If we didn't want them to be able to change, we could put lock pref. Then this is grayed out and they can't change it. But if someone wants to change their startup homepage, they can. So the startup homepage will go to this URL here, gbn.prints.cloud, who actually doesn't exist yet. So it's going to not find it, but we're going to see that in the URL bar that at least it try. And we're setting the default search engine to Google. That's the only thing. If we copy in this file into the Mozilla Firefox directory or folder after the installation, it won't do anything. It needs one more file to specify that it is the mozilla.cfg, that is the config file. In recent documentation, they named this file firefox.cfg. It can be named your name or whatever you want, as long as you reference it in the second file here, which is autoconfig.js, a JavaScript file. So if we look at that one, it's only 2 rows. If we look at the second one here, it says the config file name, and that is mozilla.cfg. Again, we could name this one gbn here, and then rename this file, the Mozilla here, as gbn.cfg. So it's just the name. So we need to copy in those 2 files after Mozilla Firefox have been successfully installed. So by doing that, we can we can put a comment saying in copy in to config files, and we can do that with copy items. And those are also going to be here, they are located in the source folder, and since the script that's running it is in the same folder as the file, we just have to reference the file through the script route. So I'm going to do that again, and then I'm going to backslash it so it finds it, and then I'll do mozilla.cfg. So let's copy that one first. And where should it go? I will put the double quotation, and we'll put it to C : program files Mozilla Firefox in this folder. I will also add a force, so if the file is already there, it can override it. Then we can copy this line. I'm lazy here. And this time we're going to copy the other file, which was called config.js something. It was called autoconfig.js, or auto, I guess, autoconfig.js. And this one should actually go to another folder. Let's find out which one. We can Google that. So Firefox autoconfig.js location, and it has to go under folder. I'll copy that, defaults, and then pref. We'll go back to our script. I'm just adding that at the end. So the autoconfig.js should be under C program files, Mozilla Firefox, defaults, pref. And we're forcing that. So I think we start to be good here. Let's save this one and test if it will work. Just verify that I don't have a Firefox already installed on my system. Nope, there is no Firefox installed here. So a quick way to run this as admin, if we go to the source files. So we are in our source files here. A quick way to run this as an admin is to run Alt F. So I'm going to put Alt F on my keyboard. Then I get this up. Then I want to run it as an open as a PowerShell. I could have done this by keyboard characters also. And then I open Windows PowerShell as an administrator. That's going to open up a PowerShell in this folder. And I definitely want to elevate to administrator in order to be able to write files to program files. So now I have started PowerShell as an administrator. See if we can do this one a bit bigger. Properties, right? We can just make the font a bit bigger. Let's make it 24. Okay, so if I do ls or dir, we have our files here. Let's run this script. We do a // install. And I just put en and then press on tab, and it's going to find, since it's the only file. When we are testing our PowerShell script installer, we might get an error, and that depends on which execution policy we have on our system. By default, it is restricted. So let me show here, PowerShell, let's run as administrator. So if I run get execution policy, it says it's restricted. That means it's not going to work. So if we go to our script, Intune, and we have Google Chrome, and we have our source folder. So if we go in here we have a file. So let's say I want to test install a script that we have done here, the Google Chrome, the install script, and I run it. I'm going to get an error, and the error going to be cannot be loaded because running script is disabled on this system, and this is default on all Windows 10 system unless you have a group policy or something else, and it's the recommended. That's good for security. What I'm doing temporarily on my machine is that I'm changing that, so you can set execution policy to unrestricted, and I'm gonna do that yes to all. So now I'll clear this. If I now get execution policy, it's going to be unrestricted. And now if I would run this command, it would actually work. Let's run this and see if this will install Mozilla Firefox and do our settings by checking the start page. Maybe it won't install, maybe settings won't work. We're gonna fix it. Let's run this. Oh, already we got an error here. So let's say it doesn't like arguments. Okay, let's fix that. So we keep this one open. I'm just gonna tab to our script. I thought I could tab. Oh, where? Alt tab, there. So it didn't like arguments. Is it because it should be without an S? Let me look. No, because it should be argument list. My bad. Let's save this one. Probably a lot looking. This was like, come on. Let's see here now if we run. Probably gonna get it. I'm gonna clear the screen. So let's rerun again this script. No error, at least this time. Will it install Firefox? And if it installed Firefox, will we have the correct settings? The prompt came back at least. Let's see if Mozilla Firefox is there. It is there. Let's start it and see if our home page shows up. It does. Okay. Oh, that's new. Cool. So Mozilla Firefox did indeed install. It took our Mozilla CFG settings, because here we see the start page is gbn.prince.cloud. So that's very good. The installation worked. The video started to be a bit long, but we managed to do an installer of Mozilla Firefox in PowerShell, adding some settings. In the next video, we're gonna do an uninstall script. So very well, this worked good. Thank you very much.